Welcome back, YouTubers, to yet another Q&A with us, the British Fist.
Gotcha.
This is Q&A 189. I can't believe we've done 189 fucking Q&As.
Beautiful.
Beautiful Q&As, just like a beautiful woman.
But it's your boys, Mr. Parkin and me, NJ. And yes, that was a bit of a Deluxe Man copy, you know. It's your boys, Mr. Parkin and me, NJ.
Well, we're more men, but, whereas the Deluxe Man is more of a boy.
yeah.
Hey, just saying, at least I can grow facial hair. That's all I'm saying. So if you have any questions, put them in the comment section below. And if you'd like to see Deluxe Man with a beard, go comment that on his video.
And as he would say, yes!
Because I think that would be hilarious. Anyway, let's get on to this Q&A. Yeah. Renegade Man 1883, excuse me. What do you think is overrated? Good wrestling skills, mic skills, or the look and the appearance of a wrestler? I think it depends where you look from. I think the people on the internet will generally overrate good wrestling skills. But I think the WWE maybe to a degree overrates the appearance and look of a wrestler, although I can see why they would go for that appeal just a little bit more. As to them, it's not really about how good the matches are, it's about how much money they think the guy can draw. So it swings and roundabouts.
My two answers would be, first, Vince McMahon judges more, it seems like, oh, big guys, great, main eventer, go. But for fans, over the last month more than recently, they've been judging Dolph Ziggler, oh, he's overrated just because he can sell stuff. So I think it's more between the build and wrestling skills.
Do you think WWE could bring back Chris Hero and give him a reunite with Cesaro to reform the Kings of Wrestling? What would be the point? Even if they came back as a tag team, they would just... How are they going to really benefit from being in WWE's tag team division where they're just going to be at the bottom of the card, not in any storylines? You could be the best tag team in the world, and you still couldn't flourish in the WWE.
Tag team division for many years now has not really been exciting. So to bring back an exciting tag team will only be exciting for a few months. And to be honest, Cesaro now should not be in a tag team, not as after last year's Mania. The WWE are just screwing the tag team division up and Cesaro up.
Yeah, so I just think that would be pointless. You might as well just have him on a singles push, even though WWE aren't doing that currently. What are your thoughts of TNA booking Bound for Glory in Japan? The idea of being in Japan wasn't a bad idea because obviously wrestling is quite popular in Japan and they were trying to spread their brand more to, in a more cultural, more worldwide place. But the way they did it and the way they had like really crappy matches on there, they didn't really build up to it. It was like a throwaway show. That kind of sparked to me why even bother going to Japan if you were just going to put out that crap. I mean, the main event was James Storm and Sonata versus the Great Muta and someone.
And normally when you think of going to a certain place, you want there to be a top wrestler within that culture.
Yeah.
Like when you come to Britain, obviously that's where Barrett or Regal would push. So when TNA goes to Japan, who is going to be their guy that they're bringing related to Japan there to make a big deal out of him there?
Well, I mean, they did have some guys to do that, but the problem is they weren't with their promotion, and of course, the way that event was done, it didn't really make them feel that important anyway. So even if they did, it didn't really matter anyway. Paul Erickson Alejandrino, do you think that Finn Balor will be wearing his body paint on a regular basis? I hope not. I think that kind of thing that he did at NXT Revolution should be saved for special events, and it will feel a little bit more special when they do it like that. So I think he should not wear his body paint on a regular basis and save it for big matches.
Beautiful.
Yes, just like the body paint. Robert Hernandez, who is your favorite wrestler in NXT? Do you have a favorite wrestler?
JBL.
In NXT.
He is in NXT.
No, he's not.
He was.
He was the general manager.
I'd go with Regal.
Well, he's not really a wrestler, but okay, you can go with Regal.
Sin Cara.
He technically is a wrestler, yes. My favorite wrestler in NXT currently, probably Sami Zayn. I don't really know how you can not like Sami Zayn, but just because you don't know him, it doesn't mean you don't like him. You would love him. Back in the 90s, would you want to see the DX versus the NWO? That would be like an Attitude Era dream match. It would be like 40 members of NWO versus like 5 members of DX. So you know for a fact that DX would win.
To be honest, I want to say yes to that is because in the now era, we wanted to see the Wyatt family and the Shield. That was like the big match we were wanting to see. Back then, it's not as NWO and DX are bigger, and the feud that I guess fans would have jumped to see more than what we got here. But I'd say yeah, I would like to see it.
Back in the Attitude Era, not now, but back when the NWO was big and DX were really coming on as a group. That would have been a good time to do that. Nick Glenn, do you think it's pointless for NXT to build up new stars when Vince will just book them how he wants to? For example, Bray Wyatt, Bo Dallas, Paige, Emma, Xavier Woods, and Big E. Oh, fuck yes. You would think the whole point of NXT, and some of these guys do very good work on NXT to help develop their character and develop their wrestling skills and try and get ready for the main roster. You'd think the whole point of NXT would be to allow these guys to flourish on the main roster and actually help the WWE in their future. But it feels like it's really more of a way of Vince McMahon just trying to one-up Triple H. Like, Triple H is going to get these guys in a big position, bring them up to the roster, and Vince McMahon will just cut their fucking head off straight away. That's how it seems. You look at the fucking attention.
This is weeks later, but there has been a report that Vince McMahon is not liking how over NXT is compared to his creation of Raw and SmackDown.
NXT is his creation, surely. I mean, why? I don't understand why Vince McMahon would sit there and not enjoy NXT, even though it's helping him create talent for the future. That the better you do in NXT, the better you can do in the future. I don't get that one bit.
And I think with the success of NXT, obviously that's going to be your future. And when they come to Raw, they're going to be your creation to make better. If Vince McMahon thinks he's better than Triple H. So I'm disappointed how Vince looks at his future wrestlers compared to what he has now, which is John Cena.
RFV089. Do you think many wrestling fans get carried away with the new talent in the main WWE roster by judging them if they can be main event talent? That really is more dependent on how WWE put. I mean, I think when people say I can see this guy in the main event, they mean in like 2 or 3 years' time with the right build, with the right push. When you see a guy get to the main event, get to the main roster straight away, and you think, God, this guy could be a main eventer, it's never straight away. It's just they're thinking more down the line. I think a lot of fans nowadays are very sort of long-term thinkers in terms of where they think the wrestler could be in such a time.
It does look the way Vince has his wrestlers, majority of them, he wants to build up and have in the main event. He doesn't really concentrate on the mid card. So that's probably why fans don't say that guy would be great for the mid card, because obviously the WWE don't concentrate on that division as much anymore.
I mean, there's nothing wrong with being a good mid carder. Right. I mean, Dolph Ziggler, he's never really going to be a main eventer. He's always going to be flourishing around the mid card. But there's nothing wrong with that. I mean, you look at Kofi Kingston now. There's a guy that I think that they could have at least tried, but now he's flourishing, and that's an example of a little bit of a disappointment in the sense that they could have gone there with Kofi, but never did. But if you look at like a talent like Bo Dallas, he's never really going to be a main eventer. If he becomes a mid carder for WWE, fair enough. But not everyone has to be a main event talent, even though WWE wouldn't have you think that way by giving everyone the fucking belt back in there too. Well, I'm talking about people like Jack Swagger and even Dolph Ziggler the belt, just things like that. What is your match of the year and superstar of the year? Okay, we'll start with match of the year.
2014, yeah.
In 2014, I guess. I'll let
Daniel
you go
Bryan,
first.
Triple H.
That was a good match.
And
yeah, I agree.
The wrestler, even though I've only recently became more of a fan of him, Daniel Bryan. Even though he got injured, but he did put on a good start of the year before his injury.
Match of the year is very, very close. There was a lot of good ones, like Wyatt family versus The Shield.
Oh.
That was very good. Daniel Bryan, Bray Wyatt was very good. Triple H, Daniel Bryan was very good. And that's when I really tuned out properly in wrestling this year. So those are the main ones.
The question, it doesn't relate to just WWE. So go to NXT Revolution or something, Dan. Because it's not related just to WWE.
That is a fucking good point.
Mm-hmm.
I could think of about 8. I mean, you've got Cesaro versus Sami Zayn. You've got Paige versus Emma. You've got Charlotte versus Natalia. Adrian Neville versus Sami Zayn. You've got all those that Fatal 4-Way they had at NXT Fatal 4-Way. There's so many good matches on NXT that could match up there. I mean, there really was. Up at NXT, yeah, had some good matches, but I don't think they were as good from a storytelling standpoint, from a build-up standpoint, from an emotional standpoint, from a drama standpoint of the Daniel Bryan Triple H and then him going on to win the title, which is why I would just nudge that, even though I think Sami Zayn and Adrian Neville nearly could match that kind of emotion. But thanks for bringing that up. That's actually a superstar of the year, in my opinion. I don't think it's Daniel Bryan. I really don't. I don't think WWE has a superstar of the year, in my opinion. So I'm going to say no one. There's not really that one standout guy that WWE have had that has been there all year and has been progressing really far up the card. Most improved is obviously Rusev. He went from nothing to being an undefeated US champion.
I forgot who the WWE gave Superstar of the Year to.
Oh, wasn't it Samoa?
Oh!
Yeah, believe in the Reigns hype. Yeah, it was him. Aaron Crace, do you think it's time for Triple H to become owner of WWE? You love this question, don't you?
I want to say this. The idea for this Mania originally was rumoured to be Triple H versus a choice of Vince's to make that creation. And I think with the arguments of Vince and Triple H, with Triple H being the authority and Vince nowhere to be seen really, even though he's doing backstage stuff, writing, decision making, I think for the storyline aspect, we should have Triple H taking over, but in reality, obviously Vince is not going to want to do that until he cannot cope with his own health anymore.
To be honest, it should really have got to the point where Shane McMahon took over from his dad, but of course that didn't happen. Yeah, can you please stop dancing, NJ? It's kind of putting me off. Yes, it reminds me of the good old days. I don't think it's time for Triple H to become owner of WWE just yet. I think it'll get to the point where he'll get phased into more and more things, and Vince McMahon will kind of take a bit of a backstage. But at the end of the day, until Vince McMahon dies, which is going to happen at some point, in the next 10 to 20 years, you would imagine, from all the steroids and stuff, it's always going to be Vince McMahon's vision at the end of the day, anyway, until he dies. Jersey 12361. Who do you want to headline the Hall of Fame 2015? Even before the announcement on Raw, I would have said Randy Savage. So you'd say The Undertaker then? I think Randy Savage, Undertaker are two possibilities. If you're gonna pick people to headline them, those are the two kind of names that you'd come up.
But with the way Triple H has been using his power against the legends, I'm not saying headline, but I'd say up there with the top two we've named, the Hart family.
What are your thoughts on Josh Matthews joining TNA?
I didn't notice.
Well, I think it's much needed, a much needed change to the commentary change. Remember when we were watching TNA and Tenay and Taz were just awful, had no commentary, had no enthusiasm.
I know it's not about Josh Matthews, but Taz was part of the 8 and 8, and he still commentated.
Yeah, he is, but at least with Josh Matthews, it's something different, and there's a bit more there. It's something different. I mean, that's the best I can come up with. I'm not really that bothered. But who do you want to return at Royal Rumble? I mean,
surprise factor would be this guy.
Austin in the Rumble. No, I don't know about that. But like the odd legend here and there. I mean, I think that it would have been a good time to bring back Orton, as he's been off injured. I think it would have been a good time to bring back Daniel Bryan. Personally, that would have been a nice way to introduce him.
Even though this is what I would have done. I spoke to a few people about this, and they said that could have worked. I don't resemble Sting and Triple H being a match that fans really want to see. But if Sting was involved in the Rumble, that's when he made his debut return. That would have been more of a surprise factor. I know you weren't going to originally win because Sting was what I was a bit like Taker, bro. So it could have worked.
I think Jericho could be another little name to throw out there. You never know. Remember when he made his return, and I believe he was number 2, and Dolph Ziggler was number 1. That was kind of cool. So you could maybe bring him back, maybe as a surprise return, just for the Rumble.
Vince McMahon.
Now that would be interesting. Toby Pierce, do you think WWE will put Darren Young in the Hall of Fame due to the fact of him being the first wrestler to say he is gay? No. I don't think WWE will see that as enough of a reason to put him in the Hall of Fame. And plus, what has he really done in WWE that has said that he should be in the Hall of Fame apart from coming out and saying he's gay?
To be honest, just saying coming out and saying you're gay, yes, it's a big deal. But to be honest, I really don't think it's really logical reason for a wrestling company to put someone into the Hall of Fame because they were the first person to openly admit their sexuality.
Renegade Man 83 once again. How come WWE can't put on good shows and pay-per-views like NXT? I think it's mainly due to the fact that Raw and SmackDown pay-per-views are a little bit more limited in what they can do. There's more constraints with regards to sponsors, advertisers, and stuff like that. And NXT has got a pretty free slate, so they can pretty much do what they like, and they're not going to get criticized as much. They're not going to be based on ratings. So there are a lot of things going into NXT's corner here. Even though I still think NXT put on really good shows, and the 4 shows they did this year were all very good, and you really do wonder why WWE can't. And I imagine the reason why they can't do it is because they don't need to anymore, because it's $9.99 a month, and you get the pay-per-view for that, and they're probably thinking to themselves, well, we're charging now a fifth of the price, so we're going to put in a fifth of the effort.
Beautiful.
Which jobbers could you repackage and put in the main event?
2 people. Okay. Dolph Ziggler. I think I know you can't be trusted, but he's still kind of jobberish because he's only starting to win matches.
Cesaro is the other one, I guess.
I was thinking Cesaro, but I was also looking at the fact that why can they not push? No, I was going to joke, but yeah, Cesaro and
I think Big E. I don't know why they can't put him in the main event.
Kofi Kingston.
Kofi Kingston, at this point, I don't know. But, I mean, Big E, I think, could have been some kind of main event guy for WWE. But again, he was another one of those wrestlers that just fell down the totem pole, and now he's in the New Day. Yeah! We're the New Day! Yeah, I doubt backstage they're really too happy with that one. Do you like Colin Cassidy, and do you think he can break on his own? Did you see the sing-off segment between him and English? Yes, I did. I thought that was actually really entertaining. And I think Colin Cassidy, when paired with the right person, did actually do some very good work on his own. I mean, he is kind of over with the crowd in the same way that Enzo Amore is, as they're both pretty much the same kind of character. So I think if you carry on his character without Enzo Amore, he can still, to a degree, get over. And he's a big guy as well, so you can see him as kind of a threat. So I mean, he could do some decent work on his own, but he needs to be paired up with the right person who he can feud with, in my opinion.
Beautiful.
When John Cena breaks Ric Flair's title reign, would it be his greatest achievement in WWE history? I'd just like to say it just to see the look on NJ's ecstatic face. Do you think he will have a heart attack? Well, I hope not, because I really don't want to have to phone 999.
This has been recorded before the Royal Rumble. And when the Royal Rumble happens, if the WWE want to give Brock Lesnar his rematch at WrestleMania and have John Cena vs Brock Lesnar at WrestleMania, and John Cena passes Ric Flair's title run, I'm going to be like, we know it's going to happen because Cena's still young in the WWE's eyes. I just think it's going to be horrible because title reigns don't seem to matter to Vince anymore. Awesome.
Harvey Dent. Renegade Man 83, you've just gone in NJ's bad book. You're not going to get a Christmas card from him this year. Harvey Dent, last question.
Yep.
Will you both be watching TNA when it debuts on Destination America in 2015? Apparently, they're going to be making some changes with a new logo and with Josh Matthews replacing Mike Tenay. They're also having more programming, could be a fresh start. There's only one word we really need to say here. It begins with M and ends in O. No, we will not be watching TNA. Why the fuck should we?
The only thing I'm glad about this is it all depends on what Bull Killer has to say in his reviews. Because if he says something that's absolutely amazing, maybe I'll tune in, but it won't be a long-term thing because I don't think TNA is going to be able to hold my attention long-term again.
No, why should we give TNA another chance? I mean, if I'm staying away from WWE and I'm tired of that, why the hell would I watch TNA? Which again, I was just getting so utterly tired with. So I think I'm just going to stick to not watching. If you know, even if it is good, I'm probably still not going to watch it just because I have no long-term investment in it, and I just don't really see the point of watching it if I don't have that long-term emotional investment in the product, like I did 3 or 4 years ago. But that's been another Q&A. We hope that if we've answered your questions, we've answered them as adequately, if not more, than you would like us to. As we didn't do this in the beginning, we are the British Fist.
Good.
I am Mr. Parkin, and this is NJ.
What's up?
Thank you very much for watching this Q&A.
Until next time, YouTubers, out.